My neighbors, there is something is happening in Jamaica. And it is not merely happening between the political parties or between the leaders of the political parties. I'm going to attempt to put before you two ideologies that separates the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party. This is how I see it. One idea is familiar. The other is demanding. I think that the People's National Party is ideologically familiar, comfortable. It is the idea that tells us that politics is the channel through which life flows. That's how I read the PNP. If I am not true, I would love for a comrade to come here and say, no, neighbor, not true. I think that the PNP see politics as a channel through which life flows. I think that the PNP feels that who governs determines who prosper. So this thinking that the party in power determines who prospers, who advances, and who receives. I think that's how the PNP is thinking. And as I said, I am not a member of the party. I just listen to them and I come up with this. It is the old Harold Laswell logic. You know, Laswell said that politics is about who gets what, when, and how. This idea is how our past was shaped. It has organized loyalties. Many Jamaicans have missed something fundamental, you know, in this Jack Den affair. Many Jamaicans have missed something about it. It is a profoundly structural thing, you know, organized loyalties. You know, most of what I say on this program is 20% of it I say, you know. I can't say all of it, you know. Don't ever think that I am not aware of the risk of opening people's eyes. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to play something for you from Dion Jackson Miller. And I want you to listen to Dion as she breaks down the some questions for the PNP, and you will understand. And I'm going to get back to the ideology for you and show it to you. You need to understand these things. So here is Mrs. Jackson Miller.
About the Auditor General's report.
Hold on. Sorry about that. Here is Mrs. Miller. It's 10 minutes 23 seconds. I don't think we can take all of it. Maybe.
Some more questions for the PNP and PNP Member of Parliament Dennis Gordon about the Auditor General's report on the University Hospital. This time my questions are about the press and press conferences. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for joining me. Time for tea.
All right, so that's Mrs. Dion Jackson Miller having her tea. And remember now that Dion is no friend of the government.
Videos are about an ongoing controversy following a report done by the Auditor General that the University Hospital of the West Indies was abusing its tax-exempt status by importing items for private companies. And that are...
By the way, in preparing for tonight's program, I did a comparative analysis with Singapore. I hope that I have time to put it forward to you tonight. If I don't have the time tonight, I'll do it tomorrow. Jamaica got independence in 1962. Singapore got independence in 1965. Listen to me, Jamaicans. We are not where we should have been. Some people have failed the Jamaican people. Somebody fail us. And I will leave that right where it is. I tell you the truth, you see. If all truths were to be known, there would be no peace. And somebody tell me that heroes are in the grave. And I'm only going to scratch the surface. And I'm going to leave you to form your own judgments. Jamaica is not where it should have been. This is a society that has underperformed. And any Jamaican who looking on at this government in our history and don't think that it is deserving of their support, they're blind. This Andrew Holness-led administration, in my view, is the first post-colonial government that is making some of the most fundamental moves to free the society, really free the society from slavery. Because you think we are free? You think so? My team, I can't take none. And I can show you that is precisely why Holness is disliked, it is not because wholeness has not performed. It is because wholeness is the key to a lock that has been on the Jamaican backs for more than 200 years. And I don't know if Mr. Wholeness himself understands, you know. JLP pastor neighbor? What is that? What does that mean? what does that mean, Kerry? I don't understand. Could you explain that to me a little bit? The nation, Jamaica, is not free. And I can prove it to you. And Mark Golding represents something that makes me uncomfortable, because I do not get the sense that Mark Golding is independent in his utterances. I get the feeling that Golding, it's an antithesis, you know, it's antithetical. It's almost like the divide, the struggle, you know, to break free finally is what this generation must do. And it's linked, you know, it's linked. I think, you know, Patreon, you must join Patreon, because I'm going to tell you some things over Patreon. I'm going to open your eyes a little wider. I can't do it up here, so, because I don't like this space. I can do it a little wider. Let me let us go to no, I think I should double down on it. This Andrew Holness-led administration, if Jamaica and Jamaicans were smart, they would keep this government for as long as they are able to manage, especially this prime minister. And that's the difference with Singapore, because Singapore don't necessarily have a democracy. You know. Now, I am not a believer in democracy. Democracy hurt Jamaica. Democracy hurt Jamaica. And I'm going to show you something. In 1983, the People's National Party the Carl Stone poll was showing the People's National Party ahead. That is after the 1980 election, you know. After the ideological 70s, and Siaga won a landslide. By 1983, Bobby Pickersgill were calling for elections in Jamaica. And Mr. Siaga had promised the PNP that he wouldn't call any election on the old voters list. And so Siaga called a snap election in 1983 and the PNP did not contest it. You know what happened? Siaga won all 60 seats. And what Siaga should have done, I'm telling you this, because that's what Lee Kuan Yew kind of did in Singapore, is to change the constitution. Mr. Siaga should have used the majority and adjust the constitution and make one government, make one government in Jamaica until Jamaica fix. It is the changing of governments that have hurt Jamaica. No country can develop with two plans. The country have to develop with one plan. Siaga was too honest. He should have, that was an opportunity to fix Jamaica. And what Siaga did, to his credit, some say, but they say hindsight is 2020, and looking back, Siaga could have changed the constitution. Because had he done that, you wouldn't have the PNP coming back in 1989 for 18 and a half years. Anyway, let us go to Miss Dion Jackson Miller and
some more questions for the PNP and PNP member of Parliament Dennis Gordon about the Auditor General's report on the University Hospital. This time my questions are about the press and press conferences. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for joining me. Time for tea. So these videos are about an ongoing controversy following a report done by the Auditor General that the University Hospital of the West Indies was abusing its tax-exempt status by importing items for private companies. And at a recent meeting of the Public Accounts Committee, we heard that one of those companies was Jagden, which is a company owned by an opposition member of Parliament, Dennis Gordon. Check out my other video to get more of the background. So let's be clear that people have a right to protect their reputations, all right? In fact, you have a right to freedom of expression, but it's not unrestricted. Restrictions can be put on your right to express yourself, for instance, to protect people's reputation. That's why we have defamation law. But we don't talk honestly enough, I think, about defamation law. I'm sure you've heard over and over that, people are entitled to protect their reputation, no matter who they are, even politicians, public figures, and so on. 100% right. But I don't think we talk enough about how defamation law has been used over the years to try to shut down media coverage of issues in the public interest. We've seen in the past, for instance, people try to get an injunction from court to prevent publication of a story. Thankfully, the courts generally take the view that stifling freedom of the press in this kind of way isn't something that should happen in the public interest. Let the story run, and if you think it's defamatory, you can sue. But those two issues, right? Protection of reputation on the one hand and reporting in the public interest on the other, I don't think we've got the balance quite right. I'm thinking through some ideas to share, but that's another time, another video. Also, how we deal with defamation on social media, given how hard it is to find or to sue some of these people making comments. Also a discussion I want to take up another time. All right, so just a reminder that, I talk about these issues because I'm interested in legal issues as a broadcaster, as a journalist, as a YouTuber, also as an attorney. All of these things also make me really good at moderating, right? Especially on issues to do with law, to do with the environment, but anything at all, contact on the screen. Back to the video. So my first questions have to do with a story that Nationwide carried on February 3, 2026, saying that Jagden was one of the companies the Auditor General spoke about in her report. As we now know, that's true. So what I'm asking Mr. Gordon, can you explain the letter that your lawyers wrote to Nationwide about that story? Because I was reading that letter today and bro, no sir. And I look back at the Nationwide story and it was a very straightforward factual report. Here's a little piece of it. It said Nationwide News can confirm that the company which the Auditor General's Department says was a beneficiary of the university hospital's inappropriate use of its tax exemption status to import 12 dialysis machines is Jagden Limited. It goes on to say a report prepared by the Auditor General's Department says the hospital used its tax exemption status to secure a $10 million waiver for a private company too. The story said documents seen by Nationwide confirmed that private company 2 is Jagden Limited. The story said that the news center contacted Mr. Gordon for comment. He asked the reporter why he was calling him. When the reporter explained, Gordon hung up the phone and hasn't answered subsequent calls.
By the way, let us pause it there. You see that country here, Jamaica, and this is where the people of Jamaica need to wake up, you know. you see all them they face to this, you know. I mean, you do something wrong, the media reach out to you for a comment. You hang up the phone. You hang up the phone in them ears. And you're benefiting from taxpayers' money. You know, one of them evening are going to tell you about a revolution. We need a revolution in this country here. A revolution. Because some things are going here. They stink to high heaven. The system, God on. Let me tell you something. Every mother, every time you drive on the bad road, every time you turn up at the clinic, and you have to sit down on a tough bench, every time you go to use government services and it is not of the quality, listen to this story. Because it speaks to this. That is why I want to take you to Singapore. And I want to show you that we have not, over the years, our leaders have failed us. Failed the Jamaican people. And this young man here, Wholeness, is fighting the back. Listen, not Sam Sharp, Nanny of the Maroons, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon, none of them are fighting the fight that Wholeness is fighting on behalf of the Jamaican people. Open up your eye and realize it. None of them. None of our national heroes are fighting what Wholeness is fighting. It is a system that is built to transfer resources from the poor to the rich. That has not stopped yet. It's still happening. The system, I saw them set it up. We need a revolution. I'm not talking about war. I'm not talking about violence. A revolution on illiteracy and transparency. Jamaica should have better. Jamaica got independence in 1962. Singapore got independence in 1965. The resources that Jamaica have, Singapore no have it. Singapore was a little sand pit, as Singapore is the size of the parish of St. James. 6 million people live in Singapore. And they have one of the highest GDP in the world. How did Singapore do it? Leadership. You hear them talk about democracy. What is democracy? What is democracy? Democracy is switching from one party to the other, from one party to the other. That's a rubbish. Countries don't develop. Countries don't grow like that. Countries grow when its people develop a roadmap to its future. When you build institutions and you take it out of the hands of politics, because man is wolf to man. The transfer of resources from the poor to the rich has not stopped. It's built into the system. And that is what wholeness is up against. Wholeness is not up against Mark Golding. It's not the PNP that wholeness is fighting against as a political party. It's bigger than that. Bigger than that. You're shocked to know what's going on. It's bigger than that. And Jamaica, you better wake up. You better look what's going on. And pray for me. Because I know that the work I do is a serious one. I know. Because they don't want you to know, you know. They don't want you to know. But I pray for myself every day. And I ask God, cover me under the blood. Cover me under your blood, Lord. Let every evil, every weapon that is formed against me be put to naught. For I must tell my people the truth. Jamaica is not independent just yet. Wholeness is going to bring independence to Jamaica. Watch and see. Wholeness is the key to your independence. And if you don't see that, then the vestiges of colonialism is still upon you. But in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, I declare that Jamaica shall be free. Jamaica shall be free once and for all. Let me tell you something. Let me show you something. The government used states of emergencies to save lives. The government came up with a bill called ZOSO. Wholeness was responsible for it. Wholeness is a very good prime minister, you know. I have my problems with governments generally, but I admire Wholeness as a good prime minister. Wholeness understands the work. The government had the Zoso bill. And the government was using states of emergencies to save life. You know, so the PNP take it to court. Take the government to court. Say the government is breaching people's constitutional right. You can't breach constitutional right to save people's life? Answer the question. Let me ask you a question. What is the value of a life? What is the value of a life? You can be saving lives and talk about rights. What are rights? You know, they have what is called a social contract theory, where the citizen subsumes, gives up their rights to the state for protection. You want right when man a kick down your door night time? What right you have? Say, well, I don't want to call anybody jackass. We have to wake up. Listen, man, listen to me.
The story said,
yes? What rights do you have? When men are kicking down your door and raping your 14-year-old and your 13-year-old, what rights do you have? And if the state intervenes to protect lives and property, how can the state be wrong? Anybody who write that into the Constitution, you amend the Constitution. Rewrite the Constitution, because you can't take that right away from the government. The right to protect people's lives and property. Governments exist to do that. That is one of the fundamental role of government, is to protect the lives of its citizens, because you don't have no right when you're dead. If you think it's lie, me telling, go up to Dovecot and see if the dead have rights. Shout as much as you want and carry everything they go give them. Go and put a KFC in Dovecot and see if any had chicken eat. And carry two Mercedes Benz and some BMWs and park them up in a Dovecot and see if any of them drive out. And you bring two nice sexy girl, take off them clothes and put them there, see if any of the duppy jump out of the tomb and do anything to them. You don't have no rights when you don't have no rights when you're dead. Guys, don't be absurd. You have to think. You can't chat. You can't take the government to court to protect government protecting people's life, and the government have to lift up the state of emergency. That's a rubbish. Anyway, let's get back to Mrs. Diane Jackson Miller, because I can chat a little too much,
The hospital's board had called in a fraud squad to probe the issue. The report said that Gordon and Jagden are reportedly denying wrongdoing. Now, again, there was absolutely nothing sensational about this story. So my question is, why would you then write a letter to Nationwide claiming defamation, asking for an apology? Look a little bit at what the letter said. Read the defamatory statements published by Nationwide about Dennis Gordon and Jagden. And the lawyer said, we act on behalf of Gordon and Jagden in relation to statements broadcast by your station in which our clients are expressly named and linked to allegations purportedly arising from the Auditor General's report. The lawyer said, we are profoundly concerned at Nationwide's apparent failure to exercise even the most basic journalistic due diligence before publishing our client's name in disparaging terms as inter alia, among other things, quote, beneficiary of tax exemption breach. I don't see how that's disparaging, because that's literally what the Auditor General said was happening. The letter went on to say that the wording of your publication invites your listeners and viewers to draw damaging and wholly unjustified conclusions about our clients. The letter said the decision to publish those words suggests either an inadequate investigation of the Auditor General's findings or a deliberate attempt to destroy the reputation of a private company whose record of service in healthcare has been commendable. It said singling out the names of Jagden and Dennis Gordon appears to have been deliberately calculated to harm their good reputation. It said there has been absolutely no finding of corruption or misconduct on the part of our clients, which makes your publication of their names and identity in the manner in which you have done so both misleading and malicious. Our clients categorically deny any wrongdoing. The letter, which by the way was dated February 3, so same day the story came out, the letter said while Dennis Gordon, principal of Jagden, is a public figure, a member of parliament, that does not grant your station license to use him as target practice, nor does it diminish your obligation to report accurately, fairly, and responsibly. Look at that sentence in light of what we know now, right? What was inaccurate about that story and what was unfair and what was irresponsible. Remember, the story is reporting on the Auditor General's report and information that they have got as to who these companies are. Listen to this next sentence now. In the circumstances, we formally demand an immediate and unequivocal on-air apology. Listen to this. Acknowledging that our clients were wrongly named by you and confirming that no culpability attaches to them in the Auditor General's report. Let me read that again. Acknowledging that our clients were wrongly named by you, which is why my question is, why would you have your lawyers write a letter like that? Now look, I have a broad concern here, which is that what has happened here is an elected official using the threat of defamation to try to shut down reporting by a media house on a factual issue of significant public interest and an accurate story. It's an important story which raises questions about the misuse of a tax exemption given to a publicly funded hospital and the loss of millions of dollars in taxes to the country as a result of that. That is the issue. So as I said, I have a broad concern there because defamation laws are used like this, right? When you're reporting, people don't like what you're reporting on, them threaten you with defamation. That's common assault. So it happening here, it's not out of the ordinary. But again, it's a line that I just read. The claim that Gordon and Jagden were, quote, wrongly named when they clearly were not. I would ask whether the opposition leader was aware of that fact. Now, I hear that Nationwide read the letter on air. They weren't keeping it secret that they were being threatened with defamation. They read the letter on air, I'm told. So if the leader of the opposition was aware that Gordon and Jagden were claiming to have been wrongly named, what, if anything, did he do? And was that of concern to him? So why has the People's National Party not been more forthcoming on this issue? I also want to ask, why hasn't the PNP called a press conference to talk about this? Because they love call press conference, press conference here, press conference there. They even had one talking about the Auditor General's report, with the opposition leader saying someone has to be held accountable. So how come they haven't called a press conference to talk about this? I think they should call a press conference and answer all the questions. It's a responsible thing to do. It's a responsive thing to do, given the public interest in this matter. We did get a statement from the opposition leader, which, as I've said, really needs its own video. But right now it seems they're just playing defense and circling the wagons. We've just had leader of opposition business in the House, Philip Paulwell, objecting to Parliament's Ethics Committee, saying they want to call back Mr. Gordon, given all the controversy. Look, I'm not saying if they have an issue with what the Ethics Committee is doing, they mustn't say so. I am saying, though, all these defensive statements in the absence of clarity, in the absence of a press conference, with them not doing media interviews, doesn't look good. What happened to your commitment to transparency and accountability? Have a press conference, answer people question. So for now, I'm going to ask you what you think. Comment below, all right? Like the video, share it with support.
All right, there you go. Why? I tell you, it's... No, sir. Why? I tell you something. I can't believe me ears. I can't believe me ears. Dion Jackson Miller. I wonder what you drank. I wonder what they put in our tea. this is what a takedown. But you see what is happening? You see what is happening there? You see what is happening there, listeners? That's the system, right? And I don't want to comment much further on that, you know. But I just hope that you understand, yes, what is happening. The old logic of Harold Laswell. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. It is the politics that has shaped our past. Wholeness is not just prime minister. Wholeness is liberator. Andrew Wholeness is not just prime minister. Andrew Wholeness is liberator. He is the liberator of the Jamaican people. We have a country that has organized loyalties, structured communities, and within the government apparatus are people strategically placed, and they are comrades, because under the Civil Service Act or law, you can't move them. Jamaica stands between two visions. Two visions. Two. One is the idea of familia, inherited, comfortable. Let things remain as it is. We don't need to change it. It tells us that politics is the channel through which life flows. And that who governs determines who prospers, who advances, and who receives. Not a society of meritocracy, where your gifts and talent take you or takes you into opportunities, but politics. Politics get you the job. Politics get you the promotion. Politics get you the contract. That's one. The second one is the idea that is more demanding. It asks more of us. It insists that a truly independent people cannot depend on political favor for survival. That dignity, and Mr. Dwayne Vaz, I saw, Dwayne Vaz did something today that is, why I tell you. Dignity cannot be distributed by party. That opportunity must not be conditional. Number one is where I think the PNP stands. Number two is where I think the Jamaica Labour Party stands. And I want you to listen to Mr. Dwayne Vaz. Mr. Vaz went down to the shelter and brought 3 of the women into his video. What an embarrassment. Mr. Vaz, you are the representative of the people. The people don't represent themselves. Why are you showing them? You don't know anything about representation.
Welcome to another edition of Power.
Listen to Mr. Vaz. I can't show the video. I don't want them to mess up the live. So just listen to the audio. Mr. Vaz is standing with one of the ladies beside him, showing her face. And Mr. Vaz is the member of parliament. Who is a member of parliament? The representative of the people. You don't represent people and show people, brother. You don't understand human dignity.
Talk Mondays. Today I'm at the Petersfield High School and specifically around the section where the shelter is. I was here yesterday for a meeting. I came to speak with them and I'm back today to bring back some necessary items that they need and also to continue lobbying for them. Because the situation that we're facing now, 41 people are still here. That includes 12 children. These are persons who have nowhere to go. And they are confused as to what the government is really doing. Because they have heard so many different promises made since the hurricane, and 6 months out, they have still not been able to find a place of residence. The minister has stated that by the 8th of May, persons should have suitable accommodation. We're hoping that they honor this particular agreement because all the other agreements have fell through for these persons who are here. Some persons would have left because they got an ultimatum to leave. And those who are left, it doesn't mean they're in a suitable circumstance. Some are still living on a tent if you're going to their communities. So I'm asking the minister to understand that not only the persons who are still here need the accommodation. We need to go out there and find those persons who are here, who are still living in conditions that are not suitable for any human being, any at all. So I was calling them out. We need to do something immediately. We cannot wait any longer. The persons have been suffering for too long, and something must be done immediately. Residents are here who will get a chance to speak on the matter because they are very adamant that something must be done. And as I stated before, it is not because they want to be here. Nobody wants to be in a shelter. Everybody wants to be in their own residence. The fact that they are still here is because they have no other option.
I'm Jennifer Anderson, living at the Petersfield shelter from Melissa. Not seen any help from the government since they promised that they will give us out a house at the bun factory. We've not heard anything on the promises. I'm asking for Desmond Mackenzie, the anti-owners, to come and interview, but it matters that we can get a place to go and live our daily life as before. So much promises and nothing are not doing. So I'm asking, I'm pleading. I'm 61 years of old and have nowhere to go. So
No. I'm sorry. I'm 61 years of old. I mean, the poor lady. No, I'm not laughing after her. I'm not laughing after her, really. And maybe I shouldn't even. You see when people, boy, I tell you, you know, boy, no, sir. No, sir. I'm 61 years of old. No, I don't know. You see, boy, I tell you. Anyway. Why you put up the people?
not doing. So I'm asking.
Why you put up the people? Why? Why you put them up? Because the member of parliament is to represent the constituents. For this very reason, she can't even explain herself. It shows you don't lower their dignity, brother, by putting them on video. You don't lower people's dignity by putting out to all Jamaicans. You don't do that as the member of parliament. The member of parliament don't do that. The member of parliament represents. He goes in, he sees the conditions, and he speaks to the relevant agencies. You preserve people's dignity, especially in crises. And who to tell? It may be the very member of parliament telling them what to say. It may very well be staged. They don't need a member of parliament if they have to speak for themselves. We stand between two visions. There are voices in our society, loud, persistent, and sometimes even persuasive. And they frame every policy, every reform, every shift as a threat. Press conferences become battlegrounds where progress is recast as failure. you see that now? Excellence. A long time you not talk to me. I wonder if you're prepared. Stability is painted as stagnation. Forward movement is questioned. Not always refined, but to resist. I go to my bed at night, so I fall asleep in 5 minutes. Nothing on my conscience, excellence. Me no hypocrite like you. Me no hypocrite like you. I'm telling the people the truth. Point out to me where I am telling a lie. You point out to me where I am telling a lie. That you're a member of parliament and you go to represent people in a shelter and you putting them up on in a video for the whole world to see them. Is that representation? Do you know what is called an advocate, sir? Do you know who is a substitute? Do you know who is an advocate? You're not excellence at all, sir. We must understand the tension in the society, because when a system begins to move away from patronage, I don't want to play out the whole tape because it is a fundamental flaw in how we have assessed development, how the PNP sees development. It's flawed. When a system begins to move people away from patronage, away from dependence, away from political gatekeeping, it unsettles those who have learned to operate within that system. That's the final hurdle that Jamaica must cross in this 21st century. The political enslavement that is still being encouraged by some, like excellence. Political enslavement, the gatekeeper, let go the people, let the people go. That is what God said, to Moses, said, let my people go. You see, if I was in Westmoreland, I'd like go down there. power, you see, is not held. It is embedded. It lives in habits, in expectations, in unspoken arrangements. I bet you, if the government gave every PNP MP $50 million, no press conference wouldn't keep. I bet you if the government gave the PNP MPs them, all of them, $50 million each, you not hear nothing. And the people them that suffer, you wouldn't hear a word. It's not about the people. It's about a system that they cannot manipulate. The problem is not about the people. Because if it was about the people, then the people they wouldn't be in the shelter. Some of these people I see on screen, they are 60 odd years old. Their lives have failed. And that's a failure of political leadership and representation to have had these people living in those conditions for all of these years. And now you come putting them up on screen, you should have shame on yourself. You should have shame on yourself. Take out some of the money out of your pocket because you don't have it. You don't get good salary and help the people if you don't really want to help them. People with less resources have helped many. Someone who live in a big house and drive big car and I get big thing. Help the people them out of the pocket. And that's how you help people. And left the government alone. Make the system work. The problem is not about how the system. The problem is that they want the money. Give them $50 million each, and you see how they're quiet. No more press conference now. Keep. Let go the people them. And that is why I'm telling Jamaica that in this period of our history, we must not be distracted. Because if we hold on, we are going to see the promised land. And this is where we have to clarify the moment for the people. Because if we are serious about independence, real independence, then we must reject the quiet return to a politics where access, opportunity, and advancement are mediated by affiliation. Listen to me. It is the politics of who gets what, when, and how that they want to practice. Give them $100 million each. Let them distribute it. Don't run it through the system. Give it to the MPs. That is the fight. That's why those MPs are not happy. Because they are not part of the pork. Pork, them a look. Pork, them a look. Pork barrel. Them get them nose in the trough. And not now flow down to them. Because the government have it locked up in the system. That is part of the problem. And Jamaicans must reject it. That is what has held this striking country back. That's why I want to take, moderator, give me some time. I want to take the people to Singapore and show you. Yes, that the system must work. No politician. No put no money in no politician hand. Now get to the people. It now go get to them. We must reject the idea that a citizen's dignity depends on proximity to power. Your dignity must not be who is the MP. Your dignity is not tied to Mr. Vaz. Mr. Vaz, you should not have put those people up. It's eroding their dignity. And if you had any self-respect tonight, you would take down that video. Take down the video of the people. Point the people to the system and help them to understand the system and how the system works. It's through the system that we get help. This is why institutional reform matters. This is why frameworks like the NARA bill matter. Not as a technical policy, but as a philosophical pathway. Because when it is properly designed, the system says that your identity is not political. Your access is not conditional. Your rights are not negotiable. You're a citizen of Jamaica. You're not PNP. And the fight is for control of resources so they can control the people. And the government must not relent. It must hold on, Ms. Andrew Holness, no matter what them say. Don't give in. Don't bow to this pressure. Because I'm going to be disappointed in you. And if you do it, sir, Hello Neighbor will be criticizing it. Hello Neighbor will be criticizing it. And this is where I want to speak to the supporters of wholeness. Because his position in this struggle is not always loud. It is not always theatrical. You notice that Mr. Wholeness is not a loud man. He don't believe in theatrics. If you believe in God, and I know you do, if you believe in God, I want to make that declaration tonight. That wholeness is strategically significant to Jamaica's listen to me. Strategically significant. It's almost like a prophetic moment for Jamaica. Because what some people interpret as silence, others call it recalibration. The society is being recalibrated. And the quiet advantage of wholeness lies in this. He's not merely contesting elections. Listen to me. He is not merely contesting elections. You have Andre Stevens over there, so ball out in short hole. You have Perry. You have Derval. You have the rest. Foolishness them attract. They don't have a sense. Pure noise. Pure, unadulterated noise. Chatting them out of, they don't have a sense. I don't ready to take them on yet, I don't ready to take them on yet. But I went take them on because they can't manage me. They can't manage me. Pure crap. You don't have to be loud to be effective, you see, Mr. Stephens. You have to be loud to be effective. Theatrical. Comical. Mr. Holness is not only contesting elections, he is shifting the terms on which politics is understood. Because by emphasizing stability, systems, and long-term reform, he moves the conversation away from personality and towards progress, away from immediate distribution and towards structural transformation. And this is precisely, listen to me, this is precisely why Jamaica is unsettled. The hate, you can cut it. When you listen to them, you see the hatred, the vitriol. They are tangled in a web of deception. They are tangled up in a web of deception because they are very unsettled, you know. Because guess what? The politics of who gets what, when, and how is being smashed. Smashed. Because politics is a politics that is less emotional, less transactional, less dependent on spectacle. It does not easily mobilize the old instinct of loyalty and division. It asks citizens to think differently, to engage differently, and to expect differently. And for those accustomed to a politics of immediacy, a visible reward, direct intervention, this can feel this is a cold truth. Transformation is happening in Jamaica, and people like Vaz. You have a lady named Miss Nikisha Birch. I don't know how Miss Nikisha gets in a parliament. I don't know. Miss Nikisha, Miss Birchell is nothing near what an MP is to be. The lady behavior is not good. I saw her in a video today. Miss Birchell, you need to, but you know, it's so sad. How Miss Birchell get in a parliament? How Miss Birchell get into the Jamaican parliament? No, sir. And Miss Birchell seemed to be a leading voice in the People's National Party. One of these evenings, I'm going to talk to you about Miss Birchell, you know. I'm going to talk about Miss Birchell. There's a deep struggle, you see, guys. And I tell you the truth, it is not between the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party alone, you know. It is between two psychological states. A people who wait to be provided for, and a people who are equipped to provide for themselves. Those are the two psychological states that Jamaica is in. A people waiting to be provided for, and a people who are equipped to provide for themselves. That is the 21st century war that is on in Jamaica, and we need a revolution. Because the greatest barrier to freedom after colonialism is not external control. It is internal dependence. And as John Stuart Mills argued, a free society is not one where decisions are made for the people, but one where people develop the capacity to think and act for themselves. That is the wholeness model. I haven't spoken to him. All I have done is read his speeches, listen to him, and watch how he moves. And wholeness is not only Prime Minister. I suspect he is Jamaica's liberator. And if you give him the chance, it's more than giving him a chance. You have to join the movement. Eight 768589553 is our WhatsApp number, and our Zelle account is 954635872. If you appreciate our work, please send a contribution. The final independence of Jamaica will not be declared in a moment. It will be built quietly, steadily. When our young people no longer need a connection to succeed. I hope I don't step on anybody's corn. I hope I don't step on anybody's corn tonight, you know. They call it bunion. Some of our young girls have had to sleep around, give their bodies to get support. And maybe some of our young boys too. When opportunity is not negotiated, you should not have to go sleep with no man. You shouldn't have to send your daughter to no man. Opportunity is not to be negotiated, but guaranteed by a system. Then dignity is not granted, it is assumed. That is the Jamaica worth fighting for. Get up from where you are tonight and join the fight. If it means that you send a $10 or $20 to the program to help us keep the fight going. And that is why even amid discomfort, even amid resistance, we must not drift backwards. I beg you tonight, my brothers and sisters, I beg you, don't drift backwards. Don't drift backwards. We have some difficult days ahead. Yeah, we do. The war in Iran, buckle down, man. Plant something on your backyard. But buy a pack of seed and let's put our shoulder to the wheel. We can't pick money off a tree, you know. We must move forward. We must move forward deliberately, critically, but resolutely. You know, resolutely towards a society where freedom is not political. Freedom is not political, it's fundamental. I don't want to make MP turn up beside me. I beg. That's not freedom. That's political enslavement. And I know that I'm at 9 o'clock, but I'm begging my moderator to give me just a little bit more time. Singapore became independent in 1965. Singapore and Jamaica are very different in size. culture and what is called geopolitical. Now, that word geopolitical, we will help you to understand what it means. The reason why they compare Singapore and Jamaica is because there are many things that are similar. When Singapore became independent in 1965, remember, Jamaica got independence in 1962. Singapore faced deep ethnic divisions. We are a multicultural society out of many one people. Multicultural. In other words, different races coming to Jamaica to make up the Jamaican population. Singapore ethnicity, divisions. They had very high unemployment, limited natural resources. One of these days, I'll tell you about the bauxite industry in Jamaica. Bauxite? Oh, God. No, sir. Bauxite could have transformed the Jamaican economy. Bauxite. And if you ever know the bauxite arrangement that Jamaica entered into and how we lost money from bauxite, talk about natural resources, we had. Anyway, the Singaporeans were a population accustomed to colonial administration and a political culture vulnerable to patronage and fractionalism. In other words, the Singaporean society was a society where identity, survival, and opportunity could easily be politicized. That sounds familiar? Because like Jamaica, the question was not just economic survival, but it was how do you build the national identity? How do you build a national identity? How do you prevent politics from becoming a distribution machine? How do you move people from dependency to capability? No, man, I'm going to have to bring this out tomorrow because I'm not going to have the time. Guys, let me wrap this up and tell you this. You see, the national identity of Jamaicans is not yet formed. We're not a people that have yet a national identity. Politics, the politics that we practice is largely a machine of distribution. And that is part of the fight right now. The politics of the political machine that distributes is being curtailed. The people are being moved from dependency to capability. And Lee Kuan Yew understood something critical. Lee Kuan Yew understood that a nation cannot progress if citizens believe success comes from connections rather than competence. So, his approach was very controversial, but it was transformative. And it was focused on breaking that cycle. I promise you, I'll take you back to the Singaporean model when I have more time. Bimi was 15 years old when the black, green, and gold was lifted at the National Stadium in 1962. When the Union Jack was lowered, Bimi was 15. How old is Bimi now? Put it in the chat. How old is Bimi? Bimi didn't understand constitution and geopolitics. What he understood was feeling. The air was different on that August morning. Bimi is now 79. I was trying to get Bimi on the program, but he can't talk so well. So, you know, the air in 1962 was thick with promise. And Bimi was there with his father. We're free now. His mother nodded, but said nothing. She had seen too much to believe freedom would arrive all at once. But Bimi believed anyway. As Bimi became a man, politics became something else too, personal. Under Michael Manley and Mr. Siaga, politics wasn't just a debate. It was identity. And in Bimi's community, people didn't just vote. They belonged. You could tell a man's politics by where he stood, who he spoke to, even which corner he avoided after that. Jobs came easier if your color matched the right color. Favors moved quietly, but everyone understood the system. Bimi got his first real work through a link. Nobody called it corruption. They call it help. You ever hear the term a links run Jamaica? Links. Politics is about who gets what, when, and how. Links. Still there was pride. Roads were being built, schools expanded, voice once ignored were now loud and demanding. But alongside the hope came something heavier, division. By the late 70s, Bimi had learned something no one taught him in school. Independence gave them a country. Politics decided how it was shared. Independence gave us a country, but it's politics that decide how we share it. Oh my God. The violence of the political era in the 1980s left scars. Communities were scarred on trust, even Bimi himself. As power shifted, Edward Siaga took leadership. The message changed. Discipline, market order. Bimi, now a father, didn't care much about ideology. He cared about feeding his children. The economy was tight. Opportunities were uneven. But one thing remained constant. You still needed to know someone. Even in the 80s, whether under one party or the other, the system had fundamentally changed. Only the language around it had. Between 1990 and 2000, Bimi grew older. His children were growing into the same country he had inherited, but not quite the same dream. Under P.J. Patterson, Portia Simpson Miller, there was a little bit of stability. But beneath that stability, Bimi noticed something. The system of links never left. As a matter of fact, a contract here, a recommendation there, a favor returned quietly. You see the farm work program? Links. It wasn't always blatant. It didn't always feel wrong. Feels normal. And you know, Bimi's son once asked him, Daddy, how do you get that work? How you get that work? And Bimi paused. Then he said, through a friend. And in that moment, he realized the system had reproduced itself through him. Links. The People's National Party institutionalized links. Not meritocracy. Links. You have to know somebody to get one farm work program ticket. You have to know somebody to get a work. You have to know somebody to get a house. You have to know somebody. Even when you go to a hospital, a friend of mine told me that they showed up at the hospital and a call was placed at the hospital for them to get care. Imagine that. Links. A society of links. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. You see why it is important to create institutions? You see what wholeness is up against? You think it's easy? You think it can just be cut off like that? You see why there has to be a revolution? You see why we are still enslaved? Links got you into school. Links got you the work. Bimi is now an old man. Sits on his veranda, watching a different kind of politics unfold under Andrew Holness. What a day. Jamaica is not fixed yet. Listeners, Jamaica is not fixed yet. But I spoke to Bimi. And Bimi told me the system. And Bimi told me that this is the Jamaica he dreamt of in 1962. A Jamaica that works for all, not for some. A Jamaica where the system gets you where you want to go. A society of meritocracy. That you invest in yourself and you go to school and you apply for your job and you get it. Not because of who you know, not because of who your parents are or which political party is in power. That's the wholeness mantra. That's what wholeness is trying to do. Bimi, now an old man, sits on his veranda, watching a different kind of politics unfold under wholeness, with voices like Mark Golding of the PNP pushing back. Something feels different, but not in the way he expected. There is less noise in some ways, more talks of system, of digitization, Audrey Marx, structure of reform. When the police stop you on the road years ago, you know, it's a matter of you and the police. Now it's a matter of the system. Digitization, structure, reform. Young people speak differently. They are less loyal to party, more impatient, more skeptical, and yet the old instincts have not disappeared. When something goes wrong, people still ask, who is responsible? Who if we call? Who can fix it for me? They don't ask what system should handle this. And so one evening, Bimi's grandson, they call him Pooh. Bright, sharp, unafraid to ask questions. Said, Grandpa, we independent, right? And Bimi smiles slowly. Yeah, we independent. The boy frowns. Then why it still feel like you have to know somebody to get through? Bimi leans back in his chair. And for the first time in a long time, he doesn't answer quickly because he has lived the answer. He has seen governments change, People's National Party to the Jamaica Labour Party and back again. He has seen policies come and policies go, and he has seen hope rise and fall and rise again. But in the deepest pattern, the quiet understanding that access flows through people, he remains stubborn. And so as the sun sets, Bimi says softly, independence wasn't the finish line, you know. It was just a start. Independence was not the finish line. It's the start. His grandson listens. We get the country in 1962, Bimi continues. But we still learn how to build it so nobody now beg for a chance. Nobody now wait upon a link. Everybody has stand upon them own. We get the country in 1962, Bimi continues, but we still learn how to build. We still learn how to build it. Nobody now beg for a chance. Nobody now wait upon a link. Everybody has stand up on their own. He pauses, then he adds, that part is still happening. As the night settles over Jamaica, Bimi understands something he could not have known at 15. And here is where I must leave you tonight. The real struggle was never just about who leads. It was always about how a people learns to live free. From political dependence to personal independence. From political dependence to personal independence. That's the struggle. Because since Jamaica claimed its independence, the deeper question has never been who governs us, but whether we have truly freed ourselves from the need to be governed in how we live, think, and rise. And if Mark Golding thinks he can take us back to 1962, I call upon all of Jamaica to reject the politics of dependence and to move to independence, which is personal, not political. From political dependence to personal independence. May God bless you, my neighbors, and may God bless the people of Jamaica, land we love.